You're listening to the Into the Woods podcast with your hosts, Dermott and Michael. Let's get into it.
Wonderful chase by Hinshaw.
Cox again. I cannot believe it. Dacos nearly runs out of room. He's fouled.
Jamie Elliott has won the game of footy for this famous club.
Slap for Mick Dacos. He's going to be the hero. The little champ. He's going to kick the winner.
Here's the Degoe moment. He unloads. Bang! You need your stars. And Collingwood stars just went and wrenched the cup back.
If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. For Spotify and Apple listeners, a 5-star rating would be greatly appreciated. Make sure you hit the bell icon on any of those platforms to be notified as soon as new episodes are released. You can find us on X at Into the Woods Pod and on Instagram at Into the Woods Pod 10. Thanks for your ongoing support by helping the podcast grow. Go Pies! Welcome to the Into the Woods panel show, brought to you by mattsprintshop.com.au. I'm your host Dermott, and for the next hour or so, we'll be talking about all things Collingwood. I'm very excited to chat to this month's panel, so let's get straight into it. You will know our first panel member as the VFL reporter on the Pies Nations podcast and also here at Into the Woods. Welcome, Serge.
How you going, Dermott? And Michael, and obviously the Grub. Everyone going all right?
Wow, we're going well. You ruined my intro for the second man. I wanted to build after.
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah.
But
That's
anyway,
what happens when you do the VFL, mate. You ruin it for everyone.
Exactly. Well, everything's been thrown out today as it is, but I'll stick to the notes. And our second panelist is back by popular demand. You can either find him pressure washing driveways around Melbourne or sinking beers at the pub with Baboon. Welcome, Grubman.
Oh, it's good to be back, Dermott. It's good to be back, and I've missed seeing Michael's face dearly. You know, it's been a hard off season, but more than anything, I'm itching to get back on the ground. I'm itching to get back to the footy. I'm even missing the overpriced beers. So.
Yes, well, I'm loving the hat, by the way, Grub. I said that before we started. It's looking great. Our third panelist is Mick. For the people that aren't watching on YouTube, we've been building up the fact that Paige is going to be on the show. Unfortunately, huge downgrade. About 10 minutes before recording, Paige unfortunately had to pull out. And so hopefully we can get her onto the March panel show. But with late notice, I wasn't able to get anyone decent, so Mick's back with no preparation whatsoever.
No preparation.
This could be a disaster.
Well, I was spending a quiet evening watching Agnes Moorehead videos. Serge might know who Agnes Moorehead is. Nobody else will.
She was the mother from Bewitched.
Yes, she was.
And also a movie star early on, yeah.
Well, you know a lot of it. She was in War of the Worlds, which I didn't know. I didn't know about it.
She was the alien.
Was she really? Because I didn't get to that bit because I love Agnes Moorehead. She was a great actress. So that's been blown out of the water to talk about Collingwood. So
yes,
look up her work. Great work, Agnes Moorehead.
Before we start, I've got a bit of a bone to pick. I know you do as well, Mick. The two of us were lucky enough to catch up with Serge over the off-season.
Wow.
Went out for breakfast with Serge at Room for a Pony in North Hobart.
Yep.
Great venue.
Yep. Great day. Really enjoyed it.
There's rumours going around. I got my sources that were lurking around the Hobart area that suggested around that same time that Serge was in town. The Grubman was also there, but no invitation. He didn't reach out, unlike Serge. Just tried to sneak in and out without us finding out. What have you got to say for yourself, Grub?
Oh, well, look, at the end of the day, I was a visitor to Hobart, and I could switch it over and say, was I invited for a candlelit dinner at Michael's house? Not at all. I was waiting.
Well, would I have headed out with you? God, no. Of course not. But would I have appreciated the invitation to be able to dismiss your invite out of hand? Yes, I would have appreciated that. But nothing. Yes, my spies
Michael.
tell me you're in and around South Hobart, which is literally within a K of where I currently sit. So a little bit disappointing, Grubman, but
But
yeah.
Michael, for a long time now, I have considered you to be one of my closest friends.
Mm.
So to hear you come here and tell me that you wouldn't accept my invitation has deeply hurt me.
But I would have liked to have known, to have alerted the authorities that yourself and maybe Baboon and Associate were in the state. So just for public safety, if nothing else.
I will say I didn't invite Baboon down. I'm not that cruel to Hobart.
Okay.
One more question. Actually, two more questions for you, Grub. One, are you hiding in a cupboard? I can barely see you.
Oh yes, I've had a lot of problems with my laptop, so I've had to perch up here with my phone and with a charger, and I'm just in my little grotto right
Oh,
now.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, my second question is, whose number plate is that?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, no comment, no comment.
Is that from the getaway car?
It's the old one.
Grubman, keep it out of focus, mate. We don't want
Yeah,
people
no,
running it down.
I'll get the pies in. I'll get the pies in more.
All right. So, as regular panel show listeners would know, we like to start these.
Well,
with...
hang on, Dermott. There's breaking news, mate. Looks like we have a injury.
No.
Paige has done a hamstring. That's why she couldn't.
Oh.
Don't do that. I was thinking Nick
Yeah,
Dacos or something. Just yeah. Best wishes to Paige. I know she's going well.
Speedy recovery for the hamstring injury.
Been thrown off a lot today. So regular listeners will know that we like to have a little bit of fun before we get into the agenda. A couple of weeks ago, when we were with Andreas and Pat, we talked about our favourite pre-season moments from pre-season matches, and that was a great chat. I was going to maybe ask Serge and Grubman for a similar thing, but I thought, with State of Origin just around the corner, Feb 14, maybe we can look at our all-time favourite State of Origin moments. I wanted to do it on an episode where Michael wasn't here because he doesn't like State of Origin. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out that way, and now he's going to have to talk about it.
I can talk about Agnes Moorehead if you like, but probably not about State of Origin.
And unfortunately, I think Paige was going to have quite a few really good topics. I'm sure Serge will. Grubman might struggle a bit, only being, how old are you, Grub? 20?
Well, I'm 20, so there's only been 2 State of Origins in my lifetime, and the first was when I was 2. So,
well,
I've got one to speak on. 2020.
We won't take that one.
Well, we'll start with Grub. Tell us your favourite State of Origin moment. You did say I might be throwing you under the bus here, Grub, but you did say to me earlier today over Instagram that you might do a bit of research and chuck out a couple of moments you hadn't seen. But I'll throw you under the bus. What have you got for us? Your all-time favourite State of Origin moments.
My all-time State of Origin moment occurred in the one match I was live and fit for, 2020.
Ooh.
What a game! Before the COVID Cup began, we were still living in a relatively normal world. And I'm a Victorian through and through. So I got to say, after rewatching the game, it's just that beginning of the fourth quarter, we were trailing like for most of the rest of the game, and then we just started this push in the third quarter. But I felt that the start of the fourth quarter, where Green, he kicks deep to Papley. Papley makes the mark and he just drills it through, and that was just the beginning of the run that just won us the game and absolutely sealed it for us. It wasn't a tight ending, so yeah, I'd say that, and then the follow up of Green then kicking his own goal straight after. That was
Be honest, Grub. Do you actually remember any of that, or did you just watch the highlights today?
I remember none of it. I watched the highlights today. I'm so sorry. But surely a young man like myself, I haven't seen many of them.
No, that's it. Well, look, I'm 31 and I've only seen the two, 2008 and
Yeah.
2020. So, for me, 2008 stands out more. How old would I have been? Oh, probably like 13 or whatever. And yeah, that was awesome. That was
Pendlebury played in that one, didn't he?
Pendlebury. Oh, yes, he did.
He
As a
did.
very
He
young
did.
man, he did. He was 19 at the time, and I loved it. I loved that. I remember Favola and Jonathan Brown dominating for the Vics. They played the Dream Team that night, so not the All Stars,
That's
so
right.
the Dream Team.
Buddy played.
Buddy
That's right.
played.
Yep,
They
yep.
had a great forward line. I think it was Buddy, Pavlich, Richo, and they had one more key forward as well. May have been Nick Revolts. Can't quite remember, but I loved it then. And after 2008, I always wanted it to come back. 2020. It was good. Maybe it's because at that point I'd grown up and maybe just it wasn't as exciting. I don't know. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but it did have that sort of NBA All Stars vibe about it. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll talk about the current one coming up soon. Hopefully, it's got more of the maybe 80s and 90s vibes to it than the 2021. But Serge, we'll go to you. I'm sure you have a lot of great moments.
I'm with yeah, you're going to be disappointed. I have got a couple, so don't worry about that. But I have to say, and it'd be interesting to take a survey amongst just supporters in general, particularly with the age demographics, because I'm with Michael. I have never been a big fan of State of Origin. Before 1977, most of those games were one-sided because Victoria had all the players. Didn't matter where you played. But the first State of Origin carnival that I remember, the first actual AFL State of Origin was in October 1977. I believe there was a game in June of that year, but that officially was the first State of Origin. Now, 77, as Michael will attest to, was a fantastic year. We'd come from oblivion to top of the ladder, the Pies. But we lost to WA, shock horror, that year by about 94 points. So that stuck in my mind for many reasons. The fact that as a Victorian, we lost to the Sandgrapers. But always like seeing the Pies play represent the Big V. We had Billy Picken and Len Thompson in the Victorian colours, and Stan Magro, Michael's favourite player, and
I was going to
Paul
say you didn't tell me
Sudo,
you played for Victoria, Mick.
and Max Richardson, who'd actually retired from Collingwood, but was picked up in the WA game. Anyway, they trounced us. It was over in WA, and they gave us a nice touch up. The other ones that I do recall, and again, these are all the reasons I recall them is because they were shock losses. In 1990, the Danahers and Kerry took the Vics apart at the SCG. And that was probably one of the more sobering or disappointing results in terms of State of Origin. And the one that always sticks in my mind was 1995, more so for Ted Whitten's lap of honour. That brought a few tears to our eyes. And I believe in that game you had Lockett and Ablett playing. I think one kicked 7, the other one kicked 4. I'm not sure on that, but that was a star-studded team, and they did restore Vic pride on that day, and it was especially emotional game because of Ted Whitten, who'd done a lot for. He was Mr. Football, obviously, as part of his journey as a VFL, AFL player, but was big promoter of the State of Origin, as Michael would attest to. And that was, that was one of my better memories. And of course, he sort of passed away not long after. But they're some of the ones that I do remember. Prior to that, they had carnivals. You remember that, Michael? They had the interstate carnivals.
Yeah, I knew of it a bit before my time, but yeah.
Well, my hero Peter McKenna represented the V in the interstate carnival in 1972 and kicked 19 goals in a round robin tournament. I think they just played a couple of quarters here and there.
He kicked 19 goals.
Yeah.
In how many quarters of football?
That would have been, I can't remember specifically, but it would have been 3 games. They were short quarters.
All right, short quarters. Oh,
Yeah.
So you want me to talk about my moment, Dermott?
Favorite
moment, right?
Go on. You've had about 20 minutes to think about it.
Yeah, I suppose Gary Ablett. I think it was 85. WA kicked 8. I think that was his first state game. And normally, as a Collingwood supporter, you really couldn't sit back and enjoy Gary Ablett kicking goals too often. But I took the opportunity to really enjoy watching him play that day. He was taking speckies. He was kicking them from 55, kicking them on the run, just kicking them. Yeah, yes, he just totally dominated. And that was, that's when he really, and like obviously he was playing well to get into the state game, but I think that's when people really stood up and thought how good this guy is, Gary Ablett. So probably that. But as you say, as I said, I'm not a huge state footy fan.
Well, who's better, Michael, in your eye? Ablett Senior or the young Ablett?
Okay. I remember Dermott asked me this question a couple of years ago. What I'd say, if it was a grand final, I'd pick Senior. Or sorry, any final, I'd pick Senior. Not the junior was poor in grand finals, because quite the opposite. But for home and away footy, week in, week out, but his consistency, Junior. Is that sitting on the fence?
No, you picked, yeah. So you'd go for Senior in the key games.
In the key games, I go for Senior. Yourself?
I'd go the other way, but I don't have a problem with how you came to that conclusion. I can't. I thought both of them had similar starts to their careers. They didn't kill it.
Yeah.
And one had a talking down to. I don't know what they did with Senior, but he came out of obscurity and killed them. So both great guys. So what a family, hey.
Yeah, I remember Bob Skilton telling a story that he was doing footy clinics, and he went down to Druin. Is it Druin? Ablett grew up in?
I think so.
Yeah. He went down to Druin because he was going around country Victoria doing these footy clinics. And so he arrived at Ablett's school, didn't know who Ablett was. Ablett was like 13, 14, and they were playing kick to kick. And, Skilton, I don't know how old he would have been at this time. So it wasn't really, hadn't long retired, but Ablett was taking speckies over him. Over Bobby Skilton, one of the greatest players ever, as a 14-year-old. And, so he was just, unbelievably talented, wasn't he?
Just as an aside, Bob Skilton took us for a cameo coaching role when we played for Old Zags. We had Norm Brown, the old Fitzroy Ruckman, as the coach.
Right,
that year. But he was still good. Even that, I'm talking, what was that? That was 81, 82.
Yeah, so he would have been retired. He retired in the early 80s, didn't he? Yeah. So he would have still been relatively fit and young, late 30s, maybe early 40s.
Yeah, probably early 40s,
Yeah. No, I never got to see him play, but obviously one of the greats, Skilton. Yeah,
100%.
All right, Grubman. So we know Michael and Serge's thoughts on State of Origin. They're not massive fans on bringing it back. As a younger guy that hasn't experienced State of Origin football, I'd like to get your thoughts. Is this something you're looking forward to? Are you a fan?
Actually, no. I'm really looking forward to it because, Look, the other state of origin that goes on, obviously, is the NRL one, and I'm not from New South Wales or Queensland, so and I don't really like rugby, so I can't really get involved in that. But I like the idea of like a Victorian team, and finally, like all my mates aren't yelling at each other over which AFL team to choose. I like the idea of watching a game with everyone and just being united for once.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm looking forward to it. But I am worried that it's not going to live up to the hype. The 2008 and 2020 games that I saw, obviously Vic versus the Dream Team and then the All Stars, so the best of the rest, basically. So they were two pretty competitive games. I had high hopes maybe a few weeks ago, but then today the announcements, I'm not sure if you guys have seen the WA announcements. I think they've named about 4 or 5 more players into their original squad. And when I saw Stephen Cornelio and Jaeger O'Meara named for WA, I was thinking, is this State of Origin 2015? Like, these guys, I can't remember the last time either of those guys have played a good game. I didn't even know Jaeger was still in the AFL. And meanwhile, you've got guys like Josh Dacos, for example, hasn't yet been named for Victoria. Maybe he still will. I think we're recording this on the Tuesday night, February 3rd. It wouldn't surprise me by the time this comes out on Wednesday the 4th that maybe Victoria have announced a few more people. So guys like Josh Dacos and Jamie Elliott maybe could join the Victorian team alongside Nick Dacos. Don't think there's anyone really in contention Collingwood wise for WA other than Darcy Cameron. It's already been named. But my point is there's going to be a lot of gun players that miss out for Victoria, and WA have guys like Cornelio and O'Meara. So, yeah, I'm
Making
concerned.
it less competitive.
Yeah, this could honestly be over 100 points. In fact, I'd be backing that in.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any thoughts on how this may play out?
Well, it's your West Coast and Freo combo versus the rest. And that's one of the issues you have with AFL State of Origin. There's nothing wrong with the concept, but we're the only sport, the only football that has teams in every state, bar Northern Territory, and now you got Tassie. So yeah, it does kill it to some extent, and it took a big dive historically, and I think Michael pointed this out probably in the early 2000s, mainly because the clubs as well didn't want their star players to get injured. And to be honest, that's my worry. As much as I like to see Peter Dacos play with, they get injured, you're stuffed.
We don't need any more of those.
Yeah.
No, we'll get into
No,
that
we've
very
got
soon.
enough. Yeah. But anyway, we'll see how they travel and how they play, right? Because at least with the NRL, they just belt each other. The last couple of State of Origin games have been. They're not like the old school ones where they actually did. I encourage you guys, particularly the Grubman, have a look at Lee Matthews playing State of Origin against the Sandgropers. A few coat hangers there and there. Yeah. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, well, I think a few of the current day players have said that they're going to go in as hard as what they did back in the day, but I'll believe it when I see it. Even if it is 100-point smashing, which I think most people think it will be, it's still going to be a little bit of fun to see guys like Bont and Nick Dacos and Rao and Butters all in the same midfield. Hopefully Max Scorn's going to be fit, hitting it down to them, and that will be fun. That will be good. Any final words?
Great, totally. But, well, to your point, they can't go as hard as they did back in the day because you then get reported.
True. Very true. Any final thoughts on the State of Origin, Mick? I know you're not that interested.
Not interested at all.
I feel like Paige would have given us a lot more than you.
Well,
Go Vic.
If she'd given you anything, it would have been a lot more than I'm giving you. Because I'm giving you nothing. I told you I wasn't interested in State of Origin. I said I didn't want to be on a podcast discussing it. So, Keep on going.
Yeah,
I just agree with Serge. Don't want to see Collingwood players within curiosity of it. They're not going to be fair dinkum. It's just nonsense. Yeah, so move on to Collingwood.
Yes, well, this is a Collingwood podcast, so that's exactly what we'll do. And I think Grubman touched on it a moment ago. The injury crisis. It's getting worse and worse. So I've got a few names here that are struggling at the moment. The official injury list reads Houston with a hip, 1 to 2 weeks. Quainer, hamstring, 1 to 2 weeks. Howe, calf, 2 weeks. McStay, hamstring, 2 weeks. Lockie Sullivan, calf, 2 to 3 weeks. And then we get to the serious ones. Darcy Moore, calf, 3 to 5 weeks. Touch and go for opening round. McCreary, foot, 4 to 6 weeks. I'd say basically no chance of playing opening round. And then Maynard, quad. I've got question marks. Apparently it's not that bad. I haven't heard a time frame, but hopefully he's okay. McCreary is the one that I want to start with.
I just also I think there's question marks around Billy Frampton because he was wearing a no contact cap in the training yesterday. He was wearing the blue cap when he was doing.
So you sure that wasn't Lipinski?
No.
No, but
no, Frampton, but.
If Frampton is in doubt, you look at his names: Frampton, Maynard, Moore, Howe, Quainer, Houston. That's our whole back line.
I don't want to interrupt, mate, but would it be easier for us to actually name those that are actually
Well, Nick Dacos. Have you guys been seeing the footage of him?
Josh.
Oh, God. Oh, if he doesn't win the Brownlow this year, something's wrong. But I don't know, guys. Like Mick and I think we sat down for our first preseason episode before all these injuries. And we were talking about the lack of depth we have in our backline in terms of key defenders. Like if Moore or Frampton or any of these guys, how would it go down, would be in some trouble. I think it was literally the next day after we recorded that Moore and Howe went down with their injuries. And now if Grubman is correct and Frampton's hurt, then I don't even know where to go. Serge, being a VFL man, who would you chuck in there as our key defenders if we don't have any of those guys?
I'm glad you asked because I haven't got a clue. None of those guys. Look, I've got down. This is a question for later, but I just was going to ask how we expect the Pies to improve this year. Can they? In terms of defence, and these are one of the areas my concern is. We don't have. I don't believe we have much depth in defence. I say that. We've got guys like Ryan, TJ, Cochrane. Let me just have a quick squeeze. We haven't recruited those young guys that we got at the draft. None of those guys are backmen. I think they're trying, and I think it's Noah Howe's in the back line.
Yeah, I heard that. Is Iluru still training in defence? Have you heard anything?
Who was that?
Smith?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't make me go there.
Oh, it's getting bleak.
So those guys that you mentioned, right? They don't give me any confidence that they're ready to step up. And we forgot Parker.
Yeah, not a key defender though.
No,
we've got a lot of halfback.
We have got no key defenders. We're even struggling for guys that are not key defenders. People that will replace your halfbacks. Maybe back pockets or Cochrane has got a likely build, but he gave some glimpses, but there's no one there. And this is for Collingwood to improve. These guys just have to take the next step, right? If they don't, I can't see Ryan staying on our list at the end of the year. TJ, well, he's probably got another 12 months after this, depending on how he goes. But he's been injury prone. And his decision making and footy IQ is a bit suspect. So to answer your question, it's very scarce what we have in defence.
Well, you really got to question our recruiting at this point. This isn't a hindsight thing. Like Michael and I, like I just said, we're talking about this before it all happened. Like we should have gone out and targeted a mature age key defender somewhere from the VFL, SNFL, Waffle, just someone that can fill that role, a big body, and we didn't. And now it's bloody January, and we're already throwing out names like Ilarouche Smith. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is ridiculous.
And when you say throwing out, just throwing out.
Well, who's the chance for an SSP? Is it SSP?
No one. Our list is full.
Oh, the list is full. I was going to say McCartan. McCartan's playing VFL, of course, down there. But yeah, we've been saying for a couple of years now that we're a key back short on the in the squad. We just haven't got enough depth in that area, and that's been the case for 2 or 3 years now.
They might fast track Noah House because he can mark. Yeah. He's not bad on the ground. He played okay in the forward line towards the end.
And he's got a bit of weight on him too. Like, he's not a skinny guy. He's got a bit of weight from what I've seen. So.
But they're the only guys of any note that have got the height. Cochrane probably is a bit slight in build, and Ilarouche Smith needs more time. And Noah House is probably the only one.
Well, there's obviously Rafe McGuinness. You didn't mention him. I think he's more of a sort of Jeremy Howe replacement more than Darcy Moore and Billy Frampton. I've got high hopes for him. Hopefully this can be his breakout season. But we've got like Darcy. I don't think he's much of a chance. I don't think he's going to be there opening round.
No.
We'll go on.
And also, watching Swoop Luke's training video that he did yesterday, all the guys were in and out of training. Like Quaynor was apparently did 75 to 80% of training, and like pretty much all of them were giving it a crack. Darcy Moore was the only one who just like wasn't training at all, apparently.
I missed that video. I normally watch all the Swoop's pre-season training videos.
And that's the one where he said Billy Frampton was wearing the blue cap.
Okay. Well, did he mention anything about Dan Houston with this hip? Any news on him?
He did say that he was still training, like he was taking it easier, but he was still training.
Yeah, so he's the one for me. Like Serge briefly mentioned, I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit more later, that where's the improvement going to come? Well, Dan Houston was at VFL standard all last year. So if he can become the Dan Houston that we saw at Port Adelaide, there's the improvement right there. It's like we've got a new recruit when we actually haven't. So, but he needs to, as Michael and I have said 100 times, he needs to be in that prime halfback role. None of this wing nonsense. Like, put him where he's best suited.
Yeah, don't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah. And then there's the McCreary one. Not a second of preseason so far. Can you guys hear that? I'm getting distracted at the moment.
No,
there's someone else on my house beeping their horn. But yeah, between the three of you, chat about McCreary if you can, and what's happened with that surgery. Putting that surgery off has just wiped out his whole preseason.
Well, I think we all had hoped that he'd become one of our prime midfielders this year. I don't think that's going to happen until at least the second half of the season, if at all. So that is disappointing. But one, I'll let you guys talk about McCreary in a moment. But one bit of good news on the training front is I'm hearing, and I spoke to Dermott earlier on today about De Goey hasn't missed a beat. No. And could that be the first time ever he's got to this stage of a pre-season having never missed a beat? So
didn't that happen in 2018?
Oh, you might be right. It seems like a long time ago now.
Well, and 2023 wasn't bad either. Right. But I'm not.
Yeah. So
but I've heard that too. He's just apparently shining. Him and Josh are just apparently firing at the moment.
Go on, Mick.
So I was just going to say, I watched a Carlton podcast the other day. Terry, I don't know if you guys know him. Terry does Carlton podcast, and he actually went down to Collingwood training. So I thought, this is interesting. See what he makes of it, because he'd heard from a lot of Carlton supporters that the likes of Collingwood and Geelong and the Swans are a lot more professional in their training than Carlton are, and that's what he found. He found that Collingwood were a lot more poised and just a lot cleaner in their training. But he also says, having watched Josh Dacos, he could see him being All-Australian this year. So I thought that was interesting.
That's a good compliment. Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Well, it's a good segue for Serge and Grubman. Where would you like to see Josh Dacos play in 2026?
More midfield time, to be honest. Like I still want to see him on the wing a bit, but I really want to unleash him in the midfield and see what that does to our team.
Serge?
Well, do you include the wing as part of your midfield group?
I was talking more Michael
You're talking inside mid?
Inside.
Yeah. Is that what you meant, Grub?
Well, the whole point for me is I don't know why we recruited Houston if that wasn't the plan, to put Houston where he normally plays and Josh more so in the middle, right? So I agree with Grubman. I'm waiting to see whether that will eventuate. Obviously, Houston's form has sort of stifled that to some degree, but I would have thought, it's you're not going to have, you can't have both of them on the flanks. Well, you could, but then what do you do with Quainer? So he should play more midfield time and see how he goes with that.
It's a popular opinion. I think most Collingwood fans you talk to have this opinion, and I listen to other podcasts as well, non-Collingwood people, and even they're scratching their heads saying, well, why recruit Houston if you're just going to use Josh Dacos down there? Just no one can make sense of it.
I think anyone who saw that Gold Coast game is just going to say, like, I want to see him more in the midfield.
The other side of the coin, it does free Houston up, but of course his brother is just screaming out for help in the midfield. Just scream. He carries such a weight in there. He needs help, and we weren't able to secure an Oliver over the summer. So get his brother in there. But as you pointed out, Dermott, he just hasn't been training. You think if they were going to make him into one of our primary midfielders, he would have been spending a lot of time in there over the pre-season to obviously get used to working in conjunction with the other midfielders and Darcy Cameron. But he's only been fleeting in there. So it sounds like he's going to be, as you put it earlier today, a break glass option in there. And he's going to continue on his flanking role, which is just really disappointing. That I think, to Serge kind of wanted to pose the question of where we're going to improve. Unfortunately, I don't think we are going to improve. Well, I reckon we're going to regress a little bit. But one area, if we could, is if there's positional changes. They've been very loath to make positional changes over the last couple of years, which you can understand. We won a premiership in 23, reload in 24, but not having won it in 25, I think we have to change things up. We just can't keep on going with the same old routine that we have been. We need to make some positional changes, and one of those is the Josh Dacos into the middle. Grub talks about that game against Gold Coast, and I've mentioned before the game against Geelong in 23 where he had 38 possessions. Small sample sizes, I know, but there's enough sign there to suggest we should pursue it. But it's just frustrating that I think he is going to continue to play primarily as a flanker, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, so can someone tell me, either Michael, Dermott, or the Grubman, who is training in the middle?
I think it's just the normal guys. You got Nick, Geordie's training most of the preseason in the midfield. Ned Long, I think Sidebottom and Crisp are still in there, which is a bit disappointing, really. I love those two guys, but I think it's time that maybe they find other positions. Like Pendlebury's training off half-back, so that's good. Ed Allen's in there. I'm probably forgetting a couple of names. Can you think of anyone else, guys?
No, just the normal. The
I mean,
usual suspects.
if Josh was to join Nick and Geordie in that midfield, and they would have three main guys, and Ned Long was sort of their support as the fourth guy, all of a sudden that's a very strong midfield, especially if Geordie's fit and firing. Like Kane Corns constantly says, who's in there to support Nick? You know, you got a 38-year-old Penderbury and a 35-year-old Sidebottom, and blah, blah, blah. But it's just not accurate. Like we've got names in there. We've got guys that are still in their 20s that are gun footballers. It just doesn't seem like we're going to put them in that role, which, you know, it's just extremely frustrating.
And Josh and Nick are just electric when they're playing together. Like they would have trained together their whole lives. Like
They're like the Cracker brothers. They just know where the other one is in the field.
Yeah. And even Collingwood's biggest haters will say that.
Oh yeah.
So what about any of the young guys, Dermott, that we've recruited? Say, okay, McCreary is injured. We know that, but he could be a shoe-in, if not for when he returns, and possibly the following year, and he would probably be replacing the likes of Asidi or Chris. That still leaves, potentially Josh, but who else do you think could actually any of the guys ready to step up in your mind? From the list that we have, and I'm talking, you've mentioned one, Ed Allen, right? But he needs to step up.
Well, yeah, I really like Bo in that midfield role. I've got huge doubts whether it's going to happen this year. Now he's had no preseason. I don't think people underestimate how important a preseason is. It sets you up for the whole year ahead. It sets you up for finals football. But I've seen a lot of commentary saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It's January." Well,
it does matter.
It does matter. It does at the end of the day. So I think you can almost put a line through him as a full-time midfielder this year. You still might see him in glimpses when he eventually comes back. But other than McCreary and Ed Allen, who have we got? I've just got my list up here. Yeah, there's not a lot, is there, Serge?
Swaddling and Anderson.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, there's a few guys I don't know a lot about. Angus Anderson, I like the look of, but I've never actually seen him play. Prindable, I've heard really good things about him this preseason. Again, I've never seen him play, so I'm just going off other people's opinion. Swaddling, another one I haven't seen play. These are all the recent draftees, but numbers are very, very nice in his junior football. But yeah, I don't see anyone.
Some names to the panel.
Yeah, throw some. Yeah.
All right, Rowan Steele,
wingman, not inside. Yeah.
Parker.
Apparently, I heard the other day he's really bulked up. I don't know if any of you guys have seen him in this preseason, which it's normal to bulk. I realize it's normal to bulk up over the preseason, and then they tend to lose a little bit of weight throughout the year. But if are you talking about as a mid?
As an option. I'm not saying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's a smart footballer. I think we spoke about him last year quite a bit. He's a smart footballer. He's a composed footballer. He uses it really well. I don't think it would be beyond him to play a role in there.
What about Harrison? Good Tassie boy.
Harvey Harrison.
Yeah.
Yeah. He might be a year away, especially coming back from a knee.
He was recruited as a midfielder, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was impressive before he went down, wasn't he? You could see him moving into the midfield in the following year after he went down in 24 August of 2024. Yeah, so you could have predicted that in 25 he could have played a role in there, but maybe because of his injury and he might be a little way off it yet. But yeah,
I'll tell you what, out of the young players, and he's not a mid, but I'm most excited to see Oscar Steen debut a bit, because I do worry that now that Cox is gone, like if Cameron gets injured, who's going to be the second ruck? And I feel like Oscar Steen is probably the one that could step into that. So I want to get games in him, but.
Oh yeah, he's really the only one, isn't he?
Yeah,
it's just nobody else.
I'll put this to you, Grubman. With the new interchange rule and the new ruck rules, you can have 5 on a bench now. I've heard there's a lot of clubs throwing around how they're going to use that last spot. Few of these clubs are looking at 2 rucks Could you see Oscar Steen lining up at round one as the backup ruck, spending maybe only 50% time on ground, the rest on the bench?
Look, I wouldn't be at all opposed to that, and I think it's about time he does debut. Like, he's 22, his body doesn't look bad. Like, I think you got to get some games in him, but before, and hopefully this doesn't happen, but before Cameron gets an injury, because it'd be wrong to just throw him straight in there as soon as Cameron goes down. So I would be in support of that.
That is a good point. Like, if Cameron was to go down and he had no experience whatsoever, that's not setting him up to succeed. So maybe that is a good way to get him in. What I'd like to get your thoughts. We'll get back to the young midfielders in a sec, Serge, but quickly, your thoughts on Oscar Steen as someone that's probably seen a lot of him in the VFL?
So Oscar Steen's a good ruckman, and I was sad to see Coxie go, because this ruck rule in the middle would have suited Coxie. It will also suit Steen. So where Steen struggles as a ruckman is the wrestling. But when he has a clear jump to it, he's got a nice leap. He's a good mark. Yes, I agree with the Grubman. He should be, and yourself, if he should get introduced as our backup ruckman earlier rather than later. Now, if that means, 25, 30, 40, 50% of the time in the ruck, and maybe throw him in the forward line resting, depending on who you've got up there. He's not a bad mark. He likes kicking a goal, and he's not a bad kick. So, yeah, because we need a backup.
Yeah, definitely.
Serge, I'm not sure if you got these two on your list, but can I chuck a couple of names at you for maybe young midfielders?
Yeah.
Neither of them are midfielders, but first one is Quainer. So there were talks before his injury that he was actually training in the midfield. I know he's not necessarily young, but he's, 26 or so coming into his prime. Could you potentially see a move for Quainer?
I thought I mentioned him.
Did you?
I mightn't have, but Quainer, yep, he'd be. Why wouldn't you? He's a lovely kick. He's robust. He can break a tackle. He's a slightly tiny, not tiny, but just a tad slower, and hasn't got that burst of speed that McCreary has. But he's got the goods.
Breaks the line. Breaks the lines.
Breaks the line, 100%.
Yep.
He's a beautiful kick, right? Kick. Who else?
The other one, we mentioned him just before, recruited as a midfielder, Reef McGuinness.
Now, someone was telling me, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to credit this to you guys, your podcast. It could have been the injured podcaster who had to drop out of this one that mentioned it. But I thought someone was telling me his tank's not that big.
Yeah, that was from when we interviewed Mick McGuan.
Was that Paige?
No. I might have been Paige as well, but Mick McGuan, when we interviewed him last year,
okay.
made that. He said when Collingwood recruited him, they didn't realise there was the issue with his tank, because they recruited him as an inside mid, and he arrived at the club and it quickly became apparent he didn't have the tank. So since then, they've been trying to invent a role for him. And they tried him forward in his first couple of years, and that didn't quite work. Then they threw him back, and of course he did his injury. So yeah, that was McGuan, apparently inside word that Mick McGuan got.
Yeah. Look, the couple of times I saw him in the middle, he wasn't bad. But to your point, and this is where I'm pretty sure that Mick McGuan is spot on, is that he didn't stay there for very long.
No, he's two-way running. He can't go up and back, up and back.
Correct.
Yeah. So,
Any other ones?
No, that's it for me. What about you?
Well, we mentioned I wouldn't discount Perryman either.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. As you probably know, I'm a big fan of seeing him become a run with player. What do you think about that? Yeah, you're with me on that?
Yep. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. We don't. shut players down. Grubman, what do you think?
No, I agree. I think we need a good run with player. I think we need someone to shut people down. And I think Perryman's a very versatile player. Especially like last year, I feel like we were shifting him around a lot. And yeah, I'd like to see that happen.
Well, speaking of positional changes, we've spoken just then of Perryman and obviously Josh Dacos and all these guys. Is there anything else that maybe you would like to see headed into the 2026 season? Any other players that you would like to see in a new position?
Me personally?
Oh, just any of you, yeah, Serge,
Yeah,
yeah.
I other than what you just mentioned, with Quaynor, with McCreary being out, yeah, that's what I'd like to try more of, as well as the Josh Dacos. They're the two. The back lines, yeah, and Steen, bringing him in.
What about the older guys? Maybe Grub can answer this one. How did the older guy, if we want some of these kids to come in, some of the older guys are going to probably have to go out. Is there anyone that you can see, maybe not necessarily for opening round, because we've got a lot of injuries, so we could probably fit all the old and young guys to fit in. But later on in the season, if we're fully fit, are there any older guys that you've maybe seen signs that they're starting to drop off a little bit and could find their way out for, the Parkers of the world?
Look, yeah, I have questions around Steele. I thought he played an excellent first part of the season. And it was like shocking. It was like he was back to his best. I saw some stat that he was ranked like the 23rd best player at some point in the start of last season, but I feel like I really did see him slowing down, and I think he could come out for a younger mid or a younger tagger or someone to come in and fill his spot. I worry about him. I think I feel like I could say right now I worry about Scott Pendlebury, but I feel like every time someone says I'm worried about Scott Pendlebury, he just comes back stronger than ever. People were saying 10 years ago, I'm worried about Scott Pendlebury, and it's 2026 and he's still on our list and he's about to break the all-time games record. So
Just a question, Grub. So
yeah,
Pendlebury, he was recruited in 2005, debuted in
yes.
2006. What year were you born in?
So yeah, I was born December 2005, so there's not been a single game where he hasn't been on the list.
That's insane. That
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
He's going to last longer than Nick Dacos at this rate. Pendles is going nowhere, mate.
Oh, he's just an absolute king. I don't know how he's done it. It's just like I remember being like 6 years old and he was my favorite player. And
Yeah.
it's like 14 years later and it's just wild.
It's crazy. Anyone that either you, Serge, or Mick would like to add to that list in terms of older guys that could potentially drop out for the younger guys later?
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned in a pod a couple of weeks ago the likes of McStay and Membry. I know we've lost Myercheck, so that gives them a bit of breathing room. But there's guys like West. We need to get games into West. So they're the two that stand out for me. That Membry had a decent season. I think he would have ended up about kicking 30 goals. So he was a solid contributor. He's a solid citizen. But yeah, those two, yeah, and McStay looked very shaky, like with his form and injury towards the end of the year. So question marks on both of those. Steele, I've been, Grubman brought up Steele. I've been saying for years, get him in and I mentioned the podcast, get him into the forward line, get him deep forward. He's so smart around goals, such a creative player. And now that we don't get me started on Bobby Hill, but Bobby Hill's not going to be there anytime soon. So there's a position there for him. And yeah, people say, and we've had this debate, Dermott, that he doesn't bring the pressure. He's not going to be able to pressure. Well, I think I looked up Bobby Hill's stats a couple of weeks ago, and he averages less than 2 tackles a game. So tackling is something that Bobby should be good at because he's dynamic and he's quick and he's all those things, but he just doesn't bring it. In reality, he's not a Cyril Rioli.
Just on Bobby Hill
Yep.
just on Bobby Hill real quick. Last year I was backing him. I was defending him. He was my favourite player. You know, I held out for him. I was feeling for him, but after that Instagram post and him just now he's gone again. I'm done. I wash my hands with him. I'm not defending him no more. I'm getting new numbers on the jersey.
What Instagram post was that? Sorry.
I just, the one he did to the many men 50 Cent, and he was like, "Oh, haters wouldn't last a day in my shoes. I'll be back." That one.
That was directed at Xander Maguire, wasn't it? That one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just felt like it was him saying, like, "Watch me prove you wrong," and
yeah,
I was like, "Yeah, good on you, mate." But
that's exactly my thoughts, Grub man. I was in the same boat as you. It's disappointing.
yeah.
Serge, any of the veterans you can see falling out throughout the year?
Well, thanks to Michael, and who says he doesn't contribute? I've forgotten about McStay, but that's a good point. And Membray, both of them had. Sorry, Membray had a better year, but McStay is just brittle. The only two I'd add, and I'm hoping I'm totally incorrect. And by the way, Michael, good. That I agree with you again with that side bottom. Moves. I would still see side bottom can contribute in terms of he might even tag a slower player in the middle, but where he's really good outside of some of the other positions he's played, but in later life, to your point, he knows where the goals are.
Yep.
He's never forgotten that. So that's 100% kudos to you on that one. Reluctantly, I've got Howe and Pendles. And the only reason I've got Pendles, and Grubman makes a valid argument, is the fact that he went out on a calf last year is a sign that, that's the old players. When you start getting calves, very, very, very difficult
It
to
is
recover.
the first sign, isn't it?
Now, he could be the first, right? And I wouldn't put it past him because he's such a fanatical. He does his preparation, he does everything. How is the other one? And we don't have we don't have a replacement for him outside of McGuinness, maybe, but they're the only ones I could think of.
Yeah, I'll just add with the side bottom thing. I agree with you, Serge and Mick, that I want to see him play forward as well. But I also agree with Grubman. If it doesn't work out as a forward, he is the one for me that would probably fall out. And I said, I think in our last show last year, a guy that isn't getting talked about is actually Jack Crisp. I've got question marks over Jack Crisp. I don't think his season was crash hot last year. So, well, I'm not saying it's the end of him or still, but it's just, watch this space and see how they perform over the first few rounds. Which is a good
I agree with the Crisp point.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone really mention him. It's an interesting one.
Well, the only reason I didn't mention him is because he's not injured, right?
He's the last hope.
I did see him at one point holding his knee at training, but
but you're right. I think his issue is he's playing for that record continually, right? He needs to get dropped, when he has a poor game, and that's. But no, that's a fair point.
So the start of the season, this is something I only really looked at a couple of days ago, and I was kind of blown away. Like, I play a lot of fantasy football, so I'm always looking for teams that have a really good start to the season, draw-wise, and target their players in my fantasy side. And Port Adelaide, for example, they have so many easy games in the first six. I think off the top of my head, they got like North Melbourne and Essendon and Richmond and West Coast, and they've got all these easy teams. They should be 6-0 if they're fair income. Then you look at Collingwood's, and I just could not believe what I was reading. I know we made a prelim last year, but I don't understand in what world how this is fair. So I've got our first 10 games for the season. I went as far back as 10 games. So I go through them. So obviously opening round against the Saints, we should beat them, but they have got a lot of decent players through the trade period, and obviously of all our injuries, that might not be as easy as what we we're thinking a few months ago. We've then got the Crows in round 2 at the MCG, but they're still a good team, and they're always
And
close
they'll
games
want
with
blood.
the Crows. They will want blood. Round 3, we've got the bye. We'll talk about that in later podcasts. Absolute joke, this opening round business.
That's a tough one.
Well, yeah.
It's like giving you a little bit of food, but then taking away the full meal right before you can get going.
Isn't it disgusting? Then this next patch, obviously you've got the Saints, the Crows. Then the next 3 weeks, GWS, Brisbane at the Gabba, Fremantle at the Adelaide Oval for Gabba round. Then we've got a couple of easier matchups, and I say easier. It's Carlton and Essendon on Anzac Day, but the old rivals, you just never know. And then we back that up with Hawthorn, Geelong, and Sydney at the SCG. Like, fair income. If our easiest games are against Carlton and Essendon, who are the big rivals, every other one of those teams, St Kilda, Adelaide, GWS, Brisbane, Fremantle, Hawthorn, Geelong, Sydney, no team, not even a Premier, should have a start to the season that hard. Our season could be over by round 6, especially because we're starting the year with all these injuries. We need to get off to a hot start or it could just be done.
So is your premise that you need to get off to a hot start to make the finals, or
No. Obviously, we got off to a hot start last year and then we crumbled. I think you need to peak at the right time, which would maybe be the last 4 to 6 weeks of the home and away season. But I also think you can drop out of premiership contention at the start. If you're 0-4, I think you're basically done. If you're 2-2, not so much, but yeah, that's just the way I look at it. You want to get off to a hot start, not a hot start, an okay start to still be a chance come the back.
Well, can I challenge you on this, Dermott?
Yeah.
Right. Go back and have a look. When have we had an easy first 6 games?
Yeah.
Well, that's 10 games, but
10 games.
We had a pretty hard draw last year.
Yep. And we were 9th the year before. Was it 9th?
Yep, 9th.
Yep. Yeah, so go figure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I still feel like this is more difficult than usual. When you see teams like Port Adelaide that play like 4 of the bottom teams in opening 6 rounds, and then we get I feel like we're a better team than Port Adelaide. But the ladder after 6 rounds could see them bloody 4 or 5 wins ahead of us. No, you're not catching.
You know what the counter argument to all that is?
What's that?
Especially for interstate support. Oh yeah, but you don't leave Victoria.
Yeah. Well, we've heard that all before. We leave Victoria just as often as bloody Carlton and Richmond and Essendon do.
I had a classic with a Carlton supporter. He was telling me that the Brisbane game at the Gabba, because it happens every year, is not really an away game. I went away pondering that one, and I'm still pondering. Maybe you guys could assist me in working that one out.
Carlton supporters rarely spend much time in school, I've found. So.
But anyway, you got any thoughts on that, Mick? This is something that you and I haven't actually spoken about on the regular pods.
Yeah, look, I found it I haven't really sat back and looked at the draw this year, but generally to that topic, the last year, you had, as Serge says, we finished 9th, missed out on finals on percentage. Carlton finished inside the 8, yet they played Richmond, West Coast, and North Melbourne twice last year, whereas we didn't. So they got an easier draw than Collingwood did, which I just don't understand at all. So, so just to your point generally, I just don't understand how they settle on the draw that they do, the AFL. We're a victim of our own success, because everyone wants to play us and everyone wants to play us to the MCG to maximise gate takings and so on. So I think Collingwood are victims of their own popularity to a large degree. You even have GWS talking about we never leave the state. Well, we don't leave the state because, sides like GWS are actually interested in sacrificing a home game to play Collingwood at MCG. This is why that happens.
Well, St Kilda are giving us a away game at the
St Kilda and
Bulldogs last year.
Bulldogs last year. So that's why we don't leave the MCG, because sides want to play us there.
Anything you want to add to that, Grubman?
No, I agree with that. Yeah, there's constant bloody talk about how little Collingwood leave the state, but you, you know, maybe that your players need to get better at the game or something. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
I've got one more question before I throw it to the rest of you guys. If you guys have anything else you want to talk about after this, and feel free to chuck it out. But this is a question from friend of the show, Andreas from Black and White United. It's a shame that Paige isn't on because I feel like Paige had some strong opinions on this, but I'm not sure if the three of you guys will.
So I continue.
No,
I
I got
continue to
some.
I continue to disappoint. Do I, Dermot?
You
Gee,
do.
I wish Paige was on instead of Michael,
Yeah, well,
my father.
tried to give
Thank you. Jesus.
Oscar, try to give Oscar a call. He's unfortunately unavailable, so I was stuck with you, Mick. But anyway, so Andreas, he said, "Do you think content creation will eventually take over the media teams at each football club?" And he goes on to list a few, the Collingwood content creators. He's got himself at Black and White United, obviously us at Into the Woods, Swoop Luke, Pies Footy, Pies Nation, Collingwood Rants, Nate Talks Pies, Pie Hard, of course, our mate Paddy's Pies on TikTok. You got all those guys. That's just Collingwood alone. Apologise if I've left anyone off that list.
Well,
Other clubs such as Carlton have got a hell of a lot as well.
Mm.
They're very popular, and I know myself. I tune into all that. All those people are great in their own way. They're all unique. They all come from it at a different sort of view, whether they're a podcast or YouTube or whatever. And I do everything in my power to get as much content from those creators as possible. I'm on the edge of my seat. But with Collingwood, I can't remember the last time I tuned into Collingwood YouTube to watch anything that they produce. So is he onto something? Could this be, in a few years' time, could we be looking at maybe someone like, I don't know, well, Swoop is the most popular at Collingwood. Could he maybe get involved with the club? Or, maybe us, Mick, maybe we can do it.
oh,
But,
yeah.
but yeah, any thoughts on that?
I think 110%. Like I think legacy media has been on its way out for a very long time, and especially since COVID, like when people got stuck in their homes and they found out that there's a whole world that they can put whatever they want onto. It's just so accessible for the average supporter, and at the same time, like Collingwood give us fuck all,
Yeah,
like they give us nothing. Like
nothing.
it's always something like Q&A or some kind of little joke. It's not actually you've got the press conferences, but you've got our day out on the park with the players. Like I can't remember the last time I watched the Collingwood YouTube channel other than a press conference for something to like actually learn something about the team. Like they don't give us much, and like
No.
Swoop Luke is getting, for example, he's interviewed the president of Collingwood, he's interviewed key players, Scott Pendlebury, and look at Pies Nation getting
Yeah,
getting to interview Ned Long and someone else last year. I mean,
Rowan Steele, that interview. Yeah,
Rowan Steele,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I think it's just on the way out. It's the power of the people and the power of the supporters. And to be honest, I'm in great support of that because I mean, this is a side thing, but the fact that you need to have KO to watch Saturday games, I think is just disgraceful. AFL is supposed to be for the people,
yeah.
Yeah.
be for the supporters. And I just think of, older people living in rural areas who either don't know how to get KO or don't have the money to afford the ridiculous $40 a month or whatever it is. AFL is like so many people's pride and joy. It's like their
Yeah.
life in many ways. It's an escape, and to take that away
Yeah.
from people is
Yeah.
just
No, 100% right.
Yeah, spot on,
It's
Grubman.
disgraceful.
Mm.
Yeah,
But as far as the content, yeah, look, I agree that the clubs may very well approach some of these podcasts to represent them, but they're going to be neutered. That's
yeah,
what they're going to do.
Mm.
They're going to be compromised. They're going to be end up towing the company line. They're not going to be as entertaining or as forthright or as critical as they are now. They're just going to be a shadow of their former selves. But yeah, I can see it happening. But you won't be getting what you're actually getting at the moment.
If Craig McRae calls you up, Mick, and says, "Mick, we're desperate for you to come on and join the club."
Yeah, I reckon I'd be the second last person that they would approach after you, Dermott.
Yeah, very good.
To contribute.
Would you be muzzled? Would you say, "I'll take on this role if you just let me go"? If I'm just, or would you?
No, I could. What's the dollars? What's the contract?
Just big money.
No, look, I'd reckon I'd say no because I just couldn't do it. I couldn't sit there with a straight face, and thank God Will Hoskin Elliott had retired. I don't reckon I could do it. Fair dinkum.
I think even if the club got someone, I'd say tomorrow they said to Swoop Luke, "You're going to start making content for us, and we're going to heavily, choose what's going on here." I think three more Collingwood YouTubers would pop up, and they're actually speaking their truth, and they'd become bigger than Swoop. I think it's now that it's become, in a way, the power of the people talking about footy. I think it's going to stay that way.
Yeah. I would sell out. I'll do it. I don't give a shit. I'll just say whatever they want me to. I'll do it. You got any opinions on that, Serge?
So, to that point, Michael is spot on. What are you guys willing to give up? All right. The club will control everything because it's about control. Control of the content. As Michael said, you got to toe the... And that's the whole... So, no, I wouldn't see... Yes, I could see them doing it, but what is the point, right? You're just not... You're getting rid of the individual, the things that people enjoy about Into the Woods, Pie Hard, all those is because they do their own content and they're not muzzled. Now, some of those, particularly the last couple, I'm pretty sure the guys won't mind that they're not controversial, but the Collingwood rant and others where you want to be critical of the club or anything like that, they're not going to allow you to do it. So, yeah, could it happen? Yeah, it could, but what are you willing to,
compromise?
What's the price?
Yeah.
And are you guys ready to take the party line? And to the point that the Grubman made is, okay, so Swoop Luke and Pies Nation go across and then everyone gets dissatisfied and you're back to square one, right? Because people are muzzled. So I could see them doing it on their terms based on it doesn't cost them anything other than, they'll go, as Michael said, we'll you do this. This is your cost. We'll pay you this. But we have overriding
editorial
authority of the content that goes out, right? That's never going to, any club is never going to let that happen. And you look at the AFL, right? They're the most woke organisation on earth, right? Can you imagine? No, that's going to tarnish the brand. No. Give me a break, people.
No, that was a good question from Andreas. It's a good talking point. All right, so before we wrap it up, I'll throw it to the rest of you guys. Anything you want to speak about? Grub and Serge, I know you wouldn't, Mick.
I've got a couple, if you can put up with it, but let's make it quick.
No, go for it, mate.
Okay, I did say I really enjoyed your whipping boys, Michael.
Well, it's. Can I just say?
No, don't make excuses, mate. It is what it is.
No, I can't believe we didn't add a couple of players. I can't look. Dermott brought up his best 10 Collingwood players he's seen, and he made some apologies. I would like to make apologies for Brodie Grundy and Taylor Adams for leaving them out of my whipping boy club.
Yeah,
because they were very prominent back in the day.
Love your work. So I love that segment and fantastic segue. So my top 10 players.
Yep, is this whipping boys? Is it?
No, I don't
top
have
10.
whipping boys.
Oh, okay.
I
Just
do
top,
not
top.
anyone that wears the
Lipinski.
black and white jumper.
Yeah, Lipinski. It's good.
No, he. I'm happy with him as long as he wears that cap. So, I'm going to go in order, but I could have picked any of these. So, and I didn't have any criteria other than the fact that I got pure enjoyment out of these.
Is this
guys,
from
right?
1 to 10 or 10 to
1
1?
to 10, right? But I could have. There's a couple there that I could have interchanged, right? So, number 1, Scott Penderbury. He's a gun, right? And I know, Dermott, you're going to be disappointed because I've been around for 60 years or whatever. But I've been true. Oh, I remember one of the segments that we had where we picked our favourite players, and I mentioned a lot of the, in the different decades. He's by far my number 1, closely followed by Peter Dacos. Then the Great Dane, Swan.
Ooh,
I've
nice.
got Steel Side Bottom. I got Captain Courageous, Tony Shaw, Mick McGuan, Peter McKenna, Billy, that's my ball picking.
No, he's forgotten him.
And Darren Mullane.
No, he's forgotten him.
I'm not picking Buckley.
What?
What?
And Len Thompson. My criteria is guys that I had made my life fantastic. Buckley did not.
What? Well,
Ever since we got him from Brisbane.
Uh-huh.
In fact, the only time I liked Buckley was when he played for the Brisbane Lions.
This is a bit of a shock.
Now, is he a great player? Yes.
So what?
He's not my favourite, is what I'm saying.
And why is that?
I don't like him.
From a personality point of view, or
he's never okay. Is this the Fettingham question?
Yeah.
Why don't I like him?
Yeah, go ahead.
Buckley came over in a period where we had really good players and we could not win. We got to the 1994 finals. We got knocked out.
West Coast,
Didn't see anything, right, until we didn't get in another grand final until 2002 and 2003, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting the blame on Buckley, but everything was Buckley focused. Right?
Yep.
You can't win. That era proves you cannot win with one player.
Yep.
Now, is it his fault? No. But I did not get enjoyment in any way, shape, or form. His nickname was Fig Jam for a very good reason. I'll give him that he's changed. And in hindsight, after reading his book, I have softened, but he's not in my top 10. He's undoubtedly one of the Collingwood greats, but not one of mine.
So your criteria is who gave you the most enjoyment?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
right, that's fair enough. Yep.
Notable outs is I've got Buckley, I've got Mark Williams, Phil Carman, John Greening gave me so much joy, but very short period of time, right? You had Barry Price, Gavin Brown, Graham Wright, all those guys. So there was a plethora of guys. But if I had to pick and choose at the time, and by the way, I did have Tony Russell and Tony Francis as good players. But they were the guys that Dacos just made my day, right? Back in the day.
Where does Nick rank? Is he close now?
Well, he hasn't played long enough. He's not a patch on his old man yet.
Oh, look, I'm not going to lie. I'm offended by that. Bucks is my number 1. I don't know what to say. I'm going to bite my tongue because I like you, Serge. I don't want to say anything I regret.
Well, and that's my opinion, right?
Yeah.
I've left other guys that gave me pleasure at Tarrant, Didak, all those, right? So there's a heap of them. And Kinky. But
wasn't he good to watch when he was on?
Yeah. All right. So my next question is, now you've answered most of it, which is, and we have probably done this to death, how can we improve? Area of concerns that I have, and we've spotted it, depth in defence, in the midfield. We don't have a replacement for Bobby Hill, or do we? And we discussed the secondary ruck backup with Steen. So anything you guys want to add to that?
Bobby Hill. So I think Mick and I threw out, obviously, Harvey Harrison's the obvious one. But what do you think about Will Hayes, Serge, being the VFL man?
He's a bit light, but he's got a little bit of pace. He knows where the ball is. None of these guys can I say, there's very few guys outside of Will Parker that I've gone since, right? Let me think. McCreary, Ginnivan, and a couple of those guys, when they were playing in the reserves, that go, this guy's got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Ginnivan would be handy now, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, wouldn't he? But I think Hayes is a couple of years away
Could be.
of good, consistent footy.
Apparently he's bulked up a lot.
Yeah, but I don't think you can expect him to come out and be a Bobby Hill replacement.
Well, take the role, not be to the level though.
Yeah,
but can I just make a point on Bobby Hill? And I agree with everything that you guys have said, and he should be traded. But he does, even though he doesn't tackle, he does apply pressure by running down or chasing people. And because of his pace, there's always that perceived pressure.
That's what he's got. Yeah. I agree with that.
And finally, I was going to ask you guys if you're interested in the VFL list editions that we've got under Coach Matthew Loken.
Yeah, our boy, Matty Locken. We like him, don't we, Mick?
Yeah. We do. Sorry, what's the question? I didn't quite.
So what we've recruited these guys, Will Phillips, right? Midfielder, 23, former third.
Draft pick, yeah.
Yeah, draft pick, 50 games with North Melbourne. Brian Teakle, remember him? We had him. He trained with us for a bit, but he was in Port Adelaide and then went to North Melbourne. Ruckman, 26 years old. Eddie Ford, North.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I always liked Eddie Ford.
Yeah.
31 goals from 40 games.
Yeah.
Your future potential whipping boy, and I bought this guy.
Oh, here we go.
Just for you, right?
It's Taj, isn't it?
I'm going to write this down.
You whipped his old man. Taj.
Didn't I whip his old man? This is
21 games for Melbourne. Zy Mullane. How good is to have the Mullane name back at the Pies?
Yeah, that's someone that we forgot to mention in the pod, Mick. Mullane's nephew. Yeah.
20 years of age, 191. They call him, in old school days, Michael, he's a utility. They called him a hybrid.
Okay, right.
So if he's not running on petrol, he's running on electricity. Ed Perryman, brother of Harry.
Yeah.
And Oscar, better get this right.
Forkhead,
yeah.
The Gold Coast player.
From the SANFL, 23 years old, 182.
And also
we're going to have a really good VFL side.
McCartan we spoke about earlier on. Yeah, well, I brought up Teague last week as because of our, as Grubman pointed out, our Finn Rucks division backup, thinking he could have been an SSP, but as Dermott says, no, we've got a full list. So that's why I thought we might have had him at the club for as a possible somebody who could move onto the list, but he's obviously not going to.
Well, can I ask you this question, guys? Hill, he's not. I know he's on our list, but he's virtually not playing. Why can't we not delist him, but where you've got a guy that's injured?
I think for him to go in the inactive list, I think that's what it inactive. Is. Yeah, I think it just has to be pure injury, unfortunately. I don't disagree with you though, Serge. I would like it to, it's out of our control, so he should.
Yeah, but we're effectively one player down.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I agree with you. Yeah.
Is there any chance of him coming back?
He isn't back yet. I think Andreas said it in the last panel show, and I agree with him. If we don't see him back at the club by the first practice match, which is next week or the week after, then write him off for the rest of the year. And I tend to agree with that. And he's yet to return.
Well, you say it's not an injury. I know in business, in the private enterprise and public sector, psychological stress is now being spoken about under the same umbrella as an injury when it comes to workers' compensation.
Mick, are you okay?
No, very much no. So you could argue, to Serge's point, well, he's got psychological stress. How's that different to an injury? Can we put him on an inactive list because of that? An argument could be made to that effect. Yeah, he's got a psychological stress. let's put him on the inactive list. It's moving that way. Society is moving that way.
Dermott, Mick, and Grubman, could we take a class action as Collingwood supporters against the AFL for the stress that Bobby Hill is putting on us by not playing?
I think we should let Grubman answer that one.
Yes. I'd like to do that. And I'd also like to add on that the stress of the price of beers at the MCG have caused me much financial stress as well. So I'd like to add that to the claim.
Oh, it's a class action. Well done, mate. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. You got anything for us, Grubman?
Nah, not much. I had the Oscar Steen thing. I think above all, I'm just itching to see the boys run out again. I just want that ritual back.
Yeah. Mick, anything?
No, I'm down to about 5%, so we better get going. But just in closing, we spoke about, I think you ignored me as you sometimes do, Derm, when you're talking about positional changes. I'm just going to rattle off these 5, most of which won't happen. More centre-half forward, second ruck. I know it won't happen because it leaves us skinny in an area we're already skinny in, but I would have liked to have seen that had they had more defensive depth.
So he put in North Place.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I can see. Yeah.
So and his calves aren't holding up either, which doesn't help.
Yeah. Had we had more backline depth, I would have liked to have seen more at centre-half forward. And taking the second ruck, maybe McStay at centre-half back, I'm not sure. Pendlebury to the half-back flank, allowing Josh to go into the midfield, Steele forward, and Houston playing his Port Adelaide role. That's in a nutshell.
Yep.
Mike, the Pendles one is probably going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, he's training there. Yeah.
All
right. Anything else, Serge?
No, I'm done.
You're done, mate.
Yep.
All right.
And I don't want people dishing on me because Nathan Buckley isn't my number one. Sorry. It's never going to happen.
Oh, boy.
We get very little feedback on this podcast, Serge. So if I think if we're ever going to get it, we're going to get it over that.
Well, the only feedback I've ever had is make sure Grubman is on during the preseason. Many, many messages. So the great man, we're lucky to have finally got him on.
Far out. They're setting the bar low.
All right. Grubman, Serge, Mick, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our next panel show will drop on March 4, which will hopefully include Paige and also Oscar, as well as a mystery guest, which I haven't lined up yet. I'm unsure when Mick and I will be back for our next regular episode, I should say. But stay tuned to our socials for further updates. Anyway, thanks for listening. We look forward to doing it again soon. See ya.
Go Pies.
Go Pies.
Up the Pies.
Oh, I still want to remember. Yes.
We did well, Michael.
Well
Well done,
done, Mick. Thank you.